What city will you never visit based on its reputation?
Mogadishu. One friend was murdered and his murderer set free by his clan. Another colleague was kidnapped from their guest house 5 years ago now and is still missing. Will never, ever step one tiny toe in that city, let alone the country of Somalia. I'm not sure if this is true, but I've read that the Somali government only control a few blocks of Mogadishu, and the rest of the country is controlled by terrorists, militias, and unrecognized independence movements. Kingston, Jamaica. The saying goes, if you don't have business in Kingston, you have no business in Kingston. I have traveled to other parts of Jamaica, and the island is sincerely one of the most beautiful places on earth. I went to Kingston on a cruise once and tried wandering off from the shopping district the cruise bus took us to so I could see the real Kingston. I got like 1 block away and this shopkeeper came out and physically restrained me from going any further, saying you better get back to your tour, you go any further and they're gonna chop you up. My desire to see the real Kingston evaporated immediately after that. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I work with so many refugee families who fled from there and the stories are chilling. I went there in 2011 as a nursing student to help out at one of the hospitals. Great/friendly people, but the state of pretty much everything was absolutely shocking. Everything was in disrepair. Tons of buildings were still complete rubble from the earthquake in 2010. Raw sewage appeared to be flowing out onto some of the streets. No traffic lights worked. Potholes were so large they'd swallow your entire vehicle, etc. Our fun time consisted of going to the UN base. There were also frequent power outages throughout the day. The entire hospital was surrounded by concrete walls that were probably 7 to 8 feet high, followed by barbed wire that was another 5 feet high and was manned by men with guns. We were not allowed to go out into the streets, ever. Some of the cases coming through there were absolutely heartbreaking. A baby died after another hospital had given it so much cough/cold meds it stopped breathing. We were also told that some of the other local hospitals did not have staff at nighttime and patients were left alone by themselves. I learned a lot and met some fantastic people though. It made me realize how good we have it in Canada. Cairo. Apparently one of the worst places in the world to go if you're a tourist. At least, if people on Reddit I've seen complaining are to be believed. I worked somewhat near Egypt and had a number of co-workers. We are all males and military contractors who visited there thinking it was just a stigma about the harassing. Every single one of them said they would never go back, and a number mentioned how you would have to be insane to visit as a woman. In high school I had a friend whose mom had met an Egyptian man online. After we had graduated a few months later, my friend's mom moved from Texas to Egypt to marry and live with this man, having never met him in person before. Nobody has heard from her since then, not even my friend whose mom it was. I graduated in 2010, so this was about 12 years ago. 12 years, and nobody has heard from her. Dubai. Not a fan of 120 degrees with nearly 100% humidity. Dubai is also weirdly cosmopolitan. They have signs about dressing modestly in public places, but you'll see non-Emirati women in short shorts and tank tops. You'll see and hear calls to prayers, but then also see completely covered women shopping at MAC for eyeliner. It's just a weird mix of old and new with the backdrop of obscene wealth that was created in a relatively short time. There's a town way north of Perth where I live in Western Australia called Wittenoom that I would refuse to step foot anywhere near, purely because of the history of it and the asbestos exposure risks. I have no idea how there are still people living there, let alone the hundreds of tourists that go through there on their travels in the north. No one has lived there since September and the government is planning on demolishing it. Last I'd heard there was one holdout who wouldn't sell her home. Nice to know that the last people living there are now gone.